Sorry to cut you off. I just know you're gonna.
Wha- What up, what up, what up? Football fans all over the world. It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan, and I'm here with my guy, the super dope co host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for the real deal NFC East round up. Punch. What up, what up, what up? What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Real Deal NFC's Roundup. I'm Matt the Giants fan. This is my guy, Adam Costas. Man, how you feeling today, Adam, man?
We are back, and for the first time in a long time, we don't gotta talk about practice. We get to talk about a game. So I'm fired up about talking to you this week and recapping the first preseason game of 2024.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. We're gonna get right into some things, man. But first, we're gonna do things a little bit differently. Just talking about what I saw over the course of the week one of the preseason. Watched six quarterbacks get drafted in the first round. What's going on? No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. My guy popping in, always showing love to the channel. Appreciate you, my bro. But anyway, I was watching watch these six guys get drafted in the first round back in April. Six quarterbacks. Giants was definitely a team that people was wondering if they was gonna go quarterback in the
No
draft, what they
Mets.
was gonna do. Well, we watched six guys go in the first round. And all six of those guys played this past week, man. And you come away from what I came away from with that is that these six guys were very impressive. All six of them showed me things, showed me that they look like guys that belong, look like guys that were ready for the moment, for guys ready to step in and change the direction of a franchise. So I'm gonna get to him. I'm gonna get to him. No Mets. I'm gonna get to him, bro. Believe that. I'm getting to that because that is my guy. I was on the record saying that he was my guy. Now it's still early in the process, but these guys all looked great, man. I mean, you got number one overall Caleb Williams going out there and making some very impressive throws down the field, making some doing some good things in his limited action. He played probably probably less than all of them, but he still the time he was in there, he definitely was impressive and made some really good throws and let you see why he was number one overall pick. Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders look like they might be on to something, man. This kid found his way into the end zone on a run. He ran into the end zone, but he also had some nice throws as well. So a couple he threw. I remember one nice downfield ball he threw as well. So Drake May. Drake May. His numbers don't jump off the page at you, but if you watched that game and tuned in and seen him while he was playing, he was very poised as well, and it was just he looked like he's he's ready for the moment, man. When and if his number gets called. JJ McCarthy, unfortunately, as we all know, news came out today he's going to be out for the season, but also very impressive in his preseason debut. In his NFL debut, I mean, two touchdown passes for J.J. McCarthy out there. I mean, was flinging it all over the yard, man. Had people trying to say this kid can't throw, this kid can't do this kid can't do that. Well, he was doing it this weekend. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait till 2025 for J.J. McCarthy. But Michael Penix Jr., the same thing, man. Out there flinging the ball all over the yard. Out there flinging the ball all over the yard, man. And then Bo Nix, yeah, that was my guy. I said you can't. The experience factor that Bo Nix brought to the table was something people were definitely downplaying during the scouting process. Man, I know all the other guys had some of the physical tools and everything. I get all of that, But that experience factor, man, Bo Nix looks like he might be coming in here, and like he might go out there and win that job out there in Denver, man. And I would not be surprised if after what I saw, I know it's only one preseason game, but what I saw, he looked like a guy that could possibly be Denver's Week 1 starter. Come September, man, Bo Nix was very, very impressive. He looked like a vet out there. On also getting a touchdown pass, he throw a touchdown pass himself, and just really was commanding that offense while he was out there, man. Very, very impressive, man. And and I'm only going over all of this just because, like I said, the New York Giants were definitely in position to grab at least three of those options. You know what I mean? They didn't really have a chance at May Daniels or Caleb Williams, but they were in position still for J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, uh, Michael Penix Jr. And if Daniel Jones comes out here, man, fumbling around again and just looking like the Daniel Jones that he's been, this is the kind of shit. Like I said, and this is nothing, no slight on Malik Neighbors by no means. It's definitely no slight on Malik Neighbors by no means, because it's not. He's a hell of a ball player, man. Obviously, he's a game changer too. But if Daniel Jones is the guy that he's been, are we going to really truly see the full effectiveness of Malik Neighbors anyway? That's the point. That's where I'm getting at. Is Daniel Jones going to be able to bring out the best of Malik Neighbors? Because that's the question we need answered now. And like I said, what I saw from these three young guys, especially those three, like I said, the three that we had a chance to still get when it was our pick, I don't know. At this point now, Daniel Jones has got a lot. He's got a lot to prove this season. A lot to prove. And Joe Shane, yeah, I think you're gonna. I think you need Daniel Jones to come through this year, bro. Just
Well,
saying. I think you absolutely needed to work out.
well, great points there, Mac. I think Daniel Jones needs to hit the 4,000 yard mark to be kept, right? Because to me, I don't want to see no 3,400 yards, Garner Minshew type numbers. Be a franchise quarterback. Be the reason why we talked about, right? The other part we need to talk about is the backup quarterback situation is not that great. You had a chance, Joe Shane, to not only draft a franchise quarterback, but also bring in a guy you could develop to be your backup quarterback who's let's say, who's better than Tommy DeVito, maybe, or better than Drew Lock? Joe Milton, Spencer Rattler, and Michael Pratt all did decent in their debuts. Okay. They all did decent in their debuts. And so for me, everyone got mad at me because you pick the quarterback as a room. It's a part of the team. If you have a good backup quarterback, sometimes that makes your defense better because when they go up against that backup quarterback and they're actually playing a Lamar Jackson and things like that, they can actually maybe able to emulate that guy a little better if you drafted a certain player like that, right? Guy who has fearlessness. Not that Tommy DeVito doesn't, but let's be real. I think Tommy DeVito's ceiling is what it is, right? You saw it. We'll get into it in a little bit. So when you have a chance to pick a quarterback, you take a if you take a bad like Joe Milton. Joe Milton's throwing the ball. There are rumors or reports out there that Joe Milton's looking better than Drake May. Will he get the job? Absolutely not. They're going to let Drake May fail before they give it to Joe Milton. But the point is that guy was had in the 6th round. You could have brought anybody in here to kind of just be a camp body, a camp arm that you can invest in. It's not bad to invest in the quarterback position. Look at around the league. People traded. I mean, the Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence and then traded for Mac Jones. They traded another a guy who was a first-round pick. They traded for him to be the backup quarterback because they wanted a quality backup. Look at what the Eagles did. Kenny Pickett may not be a great starter, but damn sure is a good backup and a good quarterback to have in a room like that. So, and they traded for him. Look at the Steelers, what they're doing. They have 2 quarterbacks who could be a good backup either way, an aging Russell Wilson and a young Justin Fields. And they're doing it brilliant out there. You bring in Drew Lock, right? We talk about these quarterbacks, and the prospects were a lot better coming out in this draft than they ever have been. And it was your chance to, in a not a high supply draft for quarterbacks. Yeah, there were 6, but there were a lot of needed teams. You opted to go with the sexy pick, which is Malik Neighbors. Again, he's going to be a phenomenal player. If he gets banged up, but the Giants' offense will sputter. I guarantee you that. It's happening in practice right now. And let's just let's just hope that defenses don't catch on because the Lions did. So, but I don't have much to say. You said everything about the quarterback, Joe Shane. Your ass is on the clock because Daniel Jones has got to outperform those guys in a. He can't look like a rookie. He can't. His numbers cannot be 3,600 yards, and then you have Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and you know Bo Nix throw for like 3,500 yards. Because if you're lumped in there, we all I'm going to say is we could have got that production from a rookie. We could have got that production. You've got to outperform these guys. He's literally got to outperform them. He's got to be above them when the dust settles. If he has Gardner Minshew 3,400 yards and like 19 touchdowns, and Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels all have that, and even Drake May, we're going to look at it like, what did we do? What did we do? We spent all this money. We could have reset the market. And by the way, a guy like Brian Thomas is doing well over in, with the Jaguars. Keane Coleman is doing all right in Buffalo. What am I saying about that? Is you could have still got a receiver in this draft as well and crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. He can't just be, to touch on what Max said, Jones cannot be 2022 Jones and expect him to be kept even if they make the playoffs. Like, that should not be the standard. The standard should be Baker Mayfield, 28 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, because he did it last. And that's what your standard should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, man. Like I said, I'm be having my eyes on those quarterbacks as well as these New York Giants. So keeping that, because it just, I need to see what's like. We all need to see, man. Like these guys, like I said, they came out week 1 in the preseason. They all kind of showed up and showed out. See if they can continue that, and we'll see what Daniel Jones does, man. But right now, it's put up or shut up now. Like you said, you can't just be a little bit better. You have to be better than them, not just a little bit better. Better. You make yourself make the New York Giants understand why they kept you around instead of even drafting one of these guys. It has to be better to that extent. So we'll see.
Yes, he
Yeah,
has
that's
to
a good.
be.
He has to be dynamic.
He has to be the reason you tune in on Sunday. I hate to say that, right? The reason we tuned in on Sunday for the Giants was Eli Manning, right? We're like, oh my God, what magic is Eli going to give us today? With Daniel Jones, you're boring. Now, being that we're kind of transitioning into talking about our team, might as well start with the Giants. Let's kind of go into this because there's something that's getting on my nerves and making the rounds. Daniel Jones being a dog is now going out there. All the teammates saying it were rallying. Listen, show it to me. Show it to me. And I'll say this. You're not going to tell me that a guy who's never yelled at nobody, who's never gotten the face of nobody, is now all of a sudden going to be a dog. Look, you got him because he wasn't that guy. He wasn't the rah-rah guy that Eli Manning is. So trying to turn him into a rah-rah guy with his beard now and all this stuff, just go out and play. Stop talking. Stop talking. Go out there and show me. It's the same rhetoric I've heard for 6 years. Tiki Barber said it best. He said the Giant fans who, quote unquote, hate the DJ don't hate him. They're just waiting for him, meaning they're hating to wait for him to develop, meaning we waited long enough to kind of be like, all right, what are we still waiting at this bus stop for? This bus ain't coming. This train ain't coming. And he's, for the first time in a while, I agree with him. I'm tired of waiting. You got guys coming out there in 3 years tearing up the league, and people still hate on them. I went on a rant this morning, and I said to somebody, why do we always poo-poo on guys like Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott and Tua Tagovailoa because they have receivers and everything? It's like, no, they still get it done. They're still putting up the numbers with those guys, right? They're still being up there and flirting with their teams being good. I don't want you to be there with Malik Neighbors and not be flirting with those numbers. Numbers matter. Production freaking matters. Bring it back, okay? That's what we need. We're not setting the bar at no 3,200 yards, okay? That ain't no bar. That's the floor. That's the floor. Okay. Your starting quarterback at bare minimum, barring injuries, that should be his floor. They were throwing 3,200 yards in the 1980s. You think that that's good? We need to be close to flirting with 5,000 yards a season. If you're not almost clipping 4K a year. What are you doing for me? So that's one thing. Okay. The other thing I want to say is don't force this on us. Don't force us him being a dog. Just let him be whoever he is. If he's a dork, let him be a dork. Don't try to put a personality on somebody that doesn't have a personality. That is just who they are. Let him be. Because once you start to do that, and if he doesn't perform in the big games and you lose faith in his dogness, what's going to happen? Okay? What's going to happen? So just know,
What's up,
I'm
Chad?
just I'm just trying to have yeah, Eli was a dork, right? He did funny things in the locker room, but they didn't say, "Hey, Eli Man." Every time we said, "Hey, Eli Manning," yell at somebody, he wouldn't do it because you know what? His leadership meant more when he was quiet and then would say something to you in the locker room like, "Hey, man, you gotta make that catch," and you're like, "Oh my God, Eli Manning spoke to me. Oh my God, I'm not gonna let him down." Daniel's Daniel is was drafted to be similar to those traits, right? And now you're trying to tell me, well,
Eli
now he's
led by
something.
example on the field, though. He did it on the field. He got it done in the clutch. You knew you could count on Eli down when it came down to it. You know he was going to give you everything he had, and you can count on him. You know what I mean? It didn't always work out. Obviously, nobody's going to bet nobody bats for 1,000, but at the same time, you knew Eli Manning. He was going to get after it no matter what. He's like quiet assassin down the stretching games, man. You
And
always
that's a
knew
great
Eli. You
point.
could count on Eli Manning.
And that's a great point that brings me to my next point about Daniel is you can't force a guy who's not been a leader and not been good to now try to be in the forefront. The reason why Eli Manning can be a silent assassin is because he got it done. He got it done when it mattered most. Like you said, they can count on him. In 2004, he went down the field and changed the play against Cowboys. That was one time. Then 2005, he had many games where you saw the potential of him doing it, especially the Denver game. 2006, he comes back and beats Eagles. And I'm just taking one from like those 5 seasons that I remember off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more. In 2011, he had 9 comebacks in a row, right? In a in a in a in a just nine in a row. It was an NFL record at the time. Absolutely crazy. So I'm not saying don't have confidence, Daniel. I'm not saying that, but don't pretend like you're a dog when you're not because you're pushing somebody at camp because of that. Because guess what, bro? People will see that. You start talking shit, someone's gonna come test that lip. They're gonna be like, all right, Daniel, we gave you the benefit of the doubt. The whole league laughed at you last year, right? Go say that to the 49ers. Go say that to the Cleveland Browns. Because those boys, they're gonna love for you to talk shit. They want you. Don't give fuel to fuel that's not needed, is all I'm saying. What I wanted the Giants to do this offseason, maybe I'm just an old school guy, is kind of just be quiet. Just take care of business on the field. Stop worrying about what others are saying. Right now, they hear the noise. They hear, oh, we don't have an identity. Oh, they have no identity now. Listen, I get it, but focus on winning. I don't care about that shit. I don't care about that identity shit. You can punch somebody in the mouth and walk away and not say a damn word to him and kick their ass. You know why the 49ers can talk shit? Because they come in every day and they bring that shit. They walk it walk. They are dogs because they play like dogs. Don't force something on somebody that's not, because it'll become out not as authentic and it's not as natural as it should be. And I don't want Daniel Jones to have any more issues than he's already got. Trying to be something that he's not is another issue I don't need him to have and carry that burden.
What up? What up? What up? Trauma plugging. Thank you for stopping in, bro. Appreciate you. He says you see that safety we picked up. I didn't hear about the safety we picked up. You know anything about that, Adam?
I knew they were working a guy out. I didn't know he was signed yet. But again, why do we need a safety is really what um no, I don't see anything here about
Well,
a signing right now. But uh yeah, they were working out a guy named Raheem Lane. I don't know if they signed him yet, but I don't know why. I guess mostly special teams. Like we're gonna find out this roster
maybe.
um, how it's built. Let's get to the game real quick. I know we talk a lot about Daniel. This is not about Daniel Jones. It's about the New York Giants. So,
Well,
what are your
not the
thoughts on the
game.
Detroit?
Well, the Detroit game. From what we saw offensively, we saw some some highs and lows. We saw obviously the high was shout out to Eric Gray Offensive player of the week in the first week of the first week of the preseason.
Hey,
Eric
ladies and
Gray for
gentlemen,
two
let
touch
me
two.
pause. Let me pause Mac there for a minute. We are get the baby powder out and slap us both in the face because me and Mac on this show last week said that Eric Gray is going to be out of the league and doing whatever he's doing, and he came out and Mac let them know what the result was.
Yeah, Eric Gray came out, man, and he had one hell of a night, so to speak, man. We'll say let's see Eric Gray here. His numbers: 4 carries, 52 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 4 catches for 46 more yards in the air. So Eric Gray, man, out there lighting it up, and looks like he's probably going to get one of those spots in the running back room. Just saying. Probably going to get one of those spots if he continues that kind of production throughout the rest of this preseason.
Well, now
Uh,
that everybody's injured in the backfield, I mean, my God, we have nobody else.
I mean, Tyrell Tracy scared yesterday. Apparently, it's just a regular ankle sprain. They made it seem like the guy had
Oh my
torn ligaments
God.
or something.
Nobody say it's like we got
But
Aircast and this. He's getting carted off. He's going to HSS, hospital special surgery. We're like, what the fuck, man? And then he's back in meetings later. What the hell? What? Like Giants, could you be any more dramatic? I mean, my God. And you know what is happening across the league? Because Jordan Addison went down, they brought the card out. Everyone's scared. Apparently, it's not serious. Same thing with Jamar Gibbs. He came out, his legs were. They brought the card out. Oh my God! Oh my! It's like, listen, I'm stressing enough for the football season. I don't need all this drama to start. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting to watch. Giants have been banged up a lot, but the problem that I have with these injuries, as much as I hate devastating season-ending injuries, I find nagging injuries to be far worse than that, right? Because everyone's talking about Malik Neighbors' foot. He's out, right? They don't know how long he's out. He might be at practice. But we don't know what kind of injuries these really are because look what happened with Evan Neal, right? They misdiagnosed the fuck out of that guy, and people were out for a long time. So JMS, he's been out for a while with a shoulder injury that has been taken up. He's slowly coming back. Runyon has now an injury. You just nag after nag after nag, which is to me in a way even worse because now you're putting guys in and out, in and out, in and out of the lineup, and you can't really build the continuity that you really need on the offensive line because you don't know who's going to be there every other day. And it's not because these guys are out like, oh, Josh Zu's out for 6 weeks. It's no, Josh Zu's banged up, misses 2 days. Then this guy gets banged up. Then Josh Zu's back. And it's like they're still playing musical chairs with the most important position on the field. And I think you're going to see it at the beginning of the season. Towards the end, they're probably going to be a good line. But towards the beginning, you're probably going to see a little cohesion issue just because guys keep coming in and out of the lineup. Illuminor was injured. Now he's back.
yeah,
Got Runyon injured. Got Kubas injured. A lot of the backups are in and out. So, I feel like the second team O line is building continuity. They got 5 guys that they haven't really changed much, right? So, anyways,
but I was just gonna say talk about the running backs in the game. Offensively, they probably were the highlight with the running backs. I mean, collectively, they all ran the ball pretty well, fairly well. The young man that's known as Turbo, 12 had
he has
12
a, he
carries,
has a
63
hamstring
yards.
injury.
So it's 5 yards a clip. Well, look, that's the New York Giants way, man. Everybody gets hurt, man. Banged up team, man. That Tyrone Tracy also, had 5 carries for 26 yards as well, man. So New York Giants did run the ball fairly well in this game. Effectively, didn't really do too much in the air. Drew Lock with the first team out there. Well, I guess with some of the first team at the start of the game, really didn't get much accomplished. Really didn't do much. Then he ended up getting hurt, and we had Tommy DeVito the rest of the way, who also came in and didn't really do too much. And so not really much talked about to me as far as I'm concerned. Offensive line, they showed some moments. I will say they of a unit that might be looking like they are coming together a little bit, going to be a little bit better than what we've been seeing. Hopefully, knock on wood, guys can start staying a little more healthy, and that unit can blossom and turn into at least a respectable offensive line. I don't need them to be a top 5 line. I don't need them to be a top 10 line. Just be respectable. Just don't it's don't let it be every play look like a fucking jailbreak. Just you know getting somebody's way, getting somebody's way at the very least. Even if you can't quite move them out of the way, at least get in their way. just something.
Well,
But
there was some good O
see,
line play on that Eric Gray run. They had a guard pulling, and he
absolutely.
smashed out the D tackle, and Eric Gray just ran downhill and followed the hole. Now, I pause. But I know that they were talking about the running back, and I don't like adding fuel to the fire because people remember this. They'll clip it, they'll give it to Saquon Barkley and things like that. But the running back coach said he was, or Brian Dable said he was very dynamic and decisive running, and you have to give credit to Barkley for running, but you also have to. The one thing that he used to do that used to pain me, and again, he didn't break. This is one of the problems coming out of college that he didn't break after 6 years, especially with this O line. He got so dependent on seeing someone in the backfield that he was always looking to make that first guy miss and might have missed the hole normally, right? Which is sometimes what he did. He would miss the gap that he would need to run in because he was thinking about the juke move or the line being a sieve. So while I think he's going to the right team and he's going to be able to not have to worry about looking backside anymore because the offensive line is going to blow doors open for the guy, I think that's what might have been lacking with the running back. Now you got a running backs like Devin Singletary, Tracy, Turbo. A lot of these guys are one-cut runners right downhill. So it's going to make the running game a little bit more efficient because not everybody is going to, he's going to follow some of his lead blocks, right? I do believe the Giants should bring back a fullback, but they won't do that in Brian Dable's system. So it's going to be a running back by committee. So a lot of these guys are going to show you different things. Tracy, I like what he brings. I think he'll be the lead back when it's all said and done at the end of the year. Devin Singletary probably, I hate to say this to you, Devin, but you might be showing the door at free agency time next year. If this guy comes back healthy, we don't even know if he'll be starting, but running back is promising. Eric Gray, I got to give it to you, man. But again, the only reason I'm going to pause on Eric Gray is because last year in the preseason, he had a couple good runs. We know Eric Gray could play because he had like a 20-yard run here, 20-yard catch there. We're like, ooh, this fifth-round pick might be something that we got excited last year. And then he came out and lost confidence because they were like a dumbass and put him on punt return. And he fumbled the punt, fumbled the punt a couple of times and got tackled. And that kind of shaken his confidence and put him in the doghouse. And then you never saw him again. So I think Eric Gray reintroduced himself to us on Saturday to say, hey, listen, there's a reason why they drafted me. I had a little bit of wiggle when I came out of college. He had enough. He showed enough at camp where they got rid of Gary Brightwell. So we'll see. No, Mets. I don't think it was a Victor Cruz moment because Victor Cruz moment was one of the most incredible performances I've ever seen in preseason game history. I mean, that guy caught passes deep, left to right. It was a good showing, and I want to see him do it again. Plus, this is not his debut. His debut was last year, right? This is his second year here, so a little bit more familiarity. The reason why that Cruz one was great was because he was a rookie out of nowhere doing it on a big stage against the Jets. So I think that's why it's a little different.
I mean, Eric Gray was a draft pick from a big school. Victor Cruz is an undrafted rookie out of UMass, bro. Like nobody knows about the UMass football program. I mean, nobody ever talks about the UMass football program. I don't know anything about that life. I ain't heard nothing about it since Victor Cruz. He came
Man,
out.
well, well, I hope nobody from UMass is listening. We know how Mac feels about your not even ranked school, right? No. I think the difference is, Victor Cruz is similar to like Wayne Corbett. Wayne Corbett was Victor Cruz before Victor Cruz in New York, right? He was a guy that came out of nowhere, and made all these catches in preseason, dove all over the place, and you were like this guy at Hofstra, which was at that time a decent football program, probably similar to UMass, but a guy at Hofstra making the team, wearing number 80 for the Jets, doing everything that he needed to do. We forget about Wayne Corbett, but he was Victor Cruz before Victor Cruz and had a longer, more productive career. Victor Cruz did it against the Jets again, and he was just the catches he had, the one-handed grab in the end zone. He had another touchdown that was deep. He caught another deep pass. Like it was like, wow, lightning in a bottle, right? And Eric Gray, they actually spent time for him. He knew what he was doing, and last year wasn't good. So yeah, it's a little. I wouldn't say it's premature. If Tyrone Tracy came out and did that and had a big thing, because people forget this. What did Barkley do his first carry in the preseason? First carry in the preseason, 68-yard run. I think it was a 68-yard touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, but at least a 68-yard. That was his first carry. So if you want to rival somebody, Saquon Barkley's opening rookie preseason game was more impactful than that, and better than Eric Gray's. If you're going to compare the running backs, right? So I'm just saying that's how special that guy was when it came out. So Eric Gray, I think he's gonna show up. I think he might steal some reps from like Turbo. Um, while when Tracy gets healthy, I think he'll be the number 2 back. I think Turbo will be the kick returner, and I think Tracy will be the
I'm
Alvin
just gonna
Kamara of the
call it a
group.
hunch that Eric Gray gonna get more than 4 carries on Saturday. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and think he's
You
gonna
think
get a little
so?
more than four carries on. I think he's gonna get a little more than 4 carries. Yeah, but it's gonna be fun to watch. It's gonna be fun, that running back battle. I mean, see how the depth chart shapes up, man. It's gonna be fun, a fun thing to watch, them running backs the rest of the way through training camp and the rest of this preseason and whatnot, man. They're gonna be a fun group, man. I think we got some guys that
Well,
can do some
actually,
things, man. This offensive line.
we're going to see Devin Singletary. So
So,
we'll first see Singletary first because I want to see how he runs
well,
a
yeah,
little bit.
absolutely.
And
I want to see the whole first unit. I want to see Daniel Jones.
two
I want to
quarterbacks.
see
Give
him
me
out
two
there in
quarterbacks.
game situation. I want to see him out there with guys coming at him that are actually going to hit him, and how he reacts to the situations and things, and what I want to see if this guy is going to be the guy that's going to, because I mean a lot of people are optimistic about this New York Giant team, man. Listening to some what you call talk Phil Sims' son, Matt Sims, yeah, works for the Giants too. Listening to him talk, I mean, a lot of guys are really just. I know he kind of can't go out there and say bad things about Daniel Jones, but at the end of the day, you could just say nothing if you really not feeling it. You know what I mean? Like so many people probably do, just don't really say anything at all. And he's going out there saying he thinks Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors, it's going to be something special. He's also talking about Theo Johnson. He said Theo Johnson was how great he was looking at practice, and looking like he could potentially be a big part of this offense as well. So, I mean, these are guys with inside eye, with get to see things, see this team daily, and I mean, a lot of
But
people
I have
seem
to
to
ask
think
you,
this team could surprise some people.
my question though is
Which
this,
is
and I don't mean to, poo-poo those guys, Phil Sims and the fluff parties, the fluffers, like I like to call them. But many people break down Daniel Jones' game across the league who get paid every year to do these breakdowns. And they don't just some of them are assholes and don't do nothing. Some of them really break it down. And those people have ranked him across the league as a mid quarterback. So I want to know why we think he's going to be exponentially better because there's a couple of examples that I've seen in the league where guys just ended up being mid. Jimmy Garoppolo, he had Devontae Adams. He still was overthrowing that guy. He still was, missing that guy in open space. You have Gardner Minshew didn't really elevate the Colts. I mean, he kept them afloat, right? He kept them afloat to be in the playoffs. But Anthony Richardson, you can see the talent dripping off that guy. Like, oh my God, what will happen if they put Anthony Richardson in that offense, right? So why do we always think? Why are always the Giant people always telling us this guy is better than what it is? I have 6 years of tape, 6 years of tape that tell me that this guy is gonna when he's on can be Ryan Tannehill. That's his ceiling to me. Ryan Tannehill. Okay? That's what he's probably going to be. Go look at Ryan Tannehill's numbers. He had a couple 40,000-yard seasons in Miami. So I'm probably doing a disservice to Ryan Tannehill by comparing him to Daniel Jones. But my point is, that's where Daniel Jones is at right now. You are basically right. Because he had AJ Brown, and he threw one season of 33 touchdown passes, one, and the other years he threw 20 plus. Right, one season he broke out. Other than that, one season once they defended him, he wasn't the same guy again, even though he had AJ Brown again before he got traded. Okay. So
Well,
what do I mean? What do I mean? Tiger don't change his stripes just because you put different color paint on him. You know what I mean? He's gonna still be the
well, this
same
is what I
guy.
was gonna say because this
Sorry.
is another point that they were bringing up. I'm sorry, that they were bringing up during this whole the thing. They were talking about when they talking about Daniel. He brought up Alex Smith and used Alex Smith as an example of Daniel Jones and saying, "Oh, he feel like they had similar career paths at the start of their career." Alex Smith, obviously, we know was number one
No, he
overall
didn't.
pick, and he, and, huh?
Alex
And they were
Smith's a
saying
better
how his
player.
struggles in the and they were saying about his struggles in the beginning. His beginning. Well, he did have some struggles in San Fran his early years. They were struggles on some bad
Well,
San
they went
Fran
to
teams.
they went to the NFC Championship game.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about his early years. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
They're talking about when Harbaugh got there, things got a little started pit perking for Alex Smith, and then obviously he went on and had some good years in Kansas City as well. But they were talking about his early years and how it was about it wasn't right away by it was about at least about 4 or 5 years in for him too before he started playing some good football, some good consistent football. A lot of coaching shuffling, a
And
lot
they
of
got
going
rid of
on
that
like
guy.
same things Daniel Jones has been going through. So that was just one of the comparisons
Well,
that they brought up, saying maybe he can have had that kind of career path as well, type of similar career path as well. Look, I don't really want to hear that. I just want to see him. I want to see him get it done on the field,
but,
regardless.
but
I don't I don't care about who they comparing him to,
here,
but at the
you know
same
what's
time,
funny
that was
about
just one of the
Smith?
comparisons there.
One of the funniest things about Alex Smith is while you can compare him to that, every team he's gone to, he's been replaced on that team by somebody. He was a placeholder. He came in, and once he did good for San Francisco, they got rid of him for Colin Kaepernick. Once he did good with Kansas City, because again, Kansas City knew he wasn't the guy. When in the playoffs they couldn't beat the Colts, they were like, "We're drafting another quarterback." He goes to Washington, and unfortunately has that accident and tears his leg apart and is never the same again. But I think Daniel Jones more Ryan Tannehill, a guy that you know can run and do more things because Alex Smith was a smart quarterback. He may not have had it in the beginning stages, but he was a smart, efficient passer. I would when Daniel Jones was coming out, his ceiling was Alex Smith, his floor was Ryan Tannehill. I think he's closer to Tannehill more so than he is Alex Smith. And the only reason I say that is because they have the same kind of build. They kind of do the same type of thing where they're not necessarily going to push you over the top, but they'll keep you afloat. If you look at Ryan Tannehill, and I use him, what happened in that divisional game against the Bengals? He turned back
So
into a
Alex,
he turned back into who he was because the game was on his right arm. That's what's going to happen at some point with Daniel Jones is the bloom is going to come off. The NFL knows your bag, bro. They know your bag. You're not you're not fooling them with Malik Neighbors because if you watch what the Lions did with Malik Neighbors in the 12 snaps that he got double covered by the Lions. The Lions set the blueprint in the preseason of what they're going to have to try to do, right? And then they'll adapt off of that. The Vikings already know. All right, we heard what the Lions did. They double covered Malik Neighbors. They're gonna put somebody over the top. And you know why? They also have Justin Jefferson, so they know how to defend a guy like that. So when you're out there, we're talking about this right now. I need to see Daniel Jones, make the reads and go through his regressions quickly because that's another thing that he has problems with. Mechanically, you're right. He looks the part, but between the ears, he's more to me like Ryan Tannehill because Ryan Tannehill will make that boneheaded play where you're scratching your head like, why the fuck did you do that? I got a guy wide open in the flat, and you throw an interception. You have a big key turnover when it doesn't matter. Is he the best quarterback on the teams? Yes, because usually there's nobody behind him to play. Right. When you brought in Will Levis, guess what they did to Ryan Tannehill? Kicked his ass to the curb. So what I need to see out of Daniel Jones is Baker Mayfield numbers. That's not that hard to ask. I mean, hell, even Geno Smith. Geno Smith had a bad year last year, but if he plays like he played in 2023, they're going to be a tough team. I know we're talking this is the NFC East, and we've gone way too long on the Giants, but let's. I digress. Let's move on. We shouldn't spend this much time on it.
well, we spent too much time on the offensive side of football. Let's go to the defensive side, which was obviously at the 3 points the Lions scored. Obviously, the defense played fairly well. I mean, we saw some good push up front pass rush. Um,
They're solid.
Guys were really meeting at the quarterback in the backfield. Man, I mean, getting there. How many sacks did they wind up
I
with
think
in
that's
this game?
four.
About four or so. Yeah,
I think it was four.
yeah, four. So yeah, 4 sacks. And just good pressure throughout the game. I mean, good for the most part, consistent pressure. Good run defense as well. Solid run defense as well. That's something that the New York Giants has been a big issue with this football team for the last few years, and that run defense definitely looks like it may be potentially finally made something light bulbs coming on, man. Maybe potentially, and they might be figuring this thing out because there was some really solid run defense in this football game, and that was something I noticed a lot, and that was something I was happy to see that's a big problem that needed to be addressed because teams were absolutely gashing the New York Giants last year, man. Trauma says Giants signed safety Jonathan Sutherland. I'm not familiar with Jonathan Sutherland, so to look into that guy. But the secondary also was a little, it was, you
But
know,
why?
Tyler Nubin. Tyler Nubin definitely made some plays, man. Tyler Nubin was looking solid, looking like that's definitely looking potentially like a good pickup for the New York Giants, second round pick. Tyler Nubin had a good night, and the kid from Kentucky, man. He's what's that? The cornerback, the kid from Kentucky. He's that kid's a
Andre
problem,
Drew
man.
Phillips.
I respect a cornerback that plays like that. I respect a guy like him. Stick his nose in there, man. Look, he ain't one of them. Obviously, he's not one of them little finesse corners. He's gonna come up in there and lay the lumber on you, and he was he was definitely demonstrated that in this game as well. So uh, I think this defense, like I said, this defense is gonna really I think has potential to do some good things this season, man. Like I said, don't expect nothing too early. Gotta let it come together, fully come together. But I think this defense is on to something. I really believe it is, man. I think the pass rush once you get Burns, Thibodeau, Dex out there on the field all together, man. I think this pass rush is going to be a high end elite, dare I say elite pass rush in the league. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on the defense before we move on.
I mean, they're solid. I like Elijah Chapman. He did good. I think there's another guy named Casey, number 91. I think he was going or doing doing all right. And I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see on the defense. I'm that type of guy. You're not going to um, you know treat. I'm not gonna get too excited because I want to see it on the field. I want to see how it comes together and if this back end can hold up. Aziz had a terrible performance in the game for what I saw, and he needs to have a solid practice because if he doesn't, who knows if he's going to make the team. So we'll see what happens, man. Listen, we get excited about this defense. So this is the one thing I worry about a little bit is I think it's going to be a bend but don't break defense because right now we see them getting some push, right? I want to see what happens when they blitz. They did bring a couple safeties here and there. So I just want to see how this defense is going to formulate, not necessarily in the preseason. I want to see the regular season game because if we are having trouble keeping up with, let's say, Jordan Addison or Jefferson, right? They're one on one, and we can't cover him. It's going to change the whole dynamic of the defense. So let's see what happens as the real bullets fly. But it's promising. I like to see what they do against this Houston team because they'll play a little bit more and maybe a little bit more game planning. So um, yes, I hope we don't have that Patrick Graham style defense. That's what I think we might actually have is the bend but don't break type of defense. Remember, he played a lot of zone, and that's what Deontay Banks doesn't play. Remember, somebody asked me a question about Deontay Banks, him getting burned, and I said the reason why I think Deontay Banks getting a little burned is because he is built for Wink Martindale's defense, not a Shane Bowen defense. Shane Bowen doesn't necessarily want you to play bump and run press man all the time, right? He wants you to zone blitz and zone dog and get different things. So even Deontay Banks said it's kind of different than what he was doing. He said more it was like a more zone man type of defense, and that's something that he's not. used to. He's used to being in your hip pocket, being physical. And now if you're taking him off the line and not giving him the element that you brought him in for, being that physical corner off the line, then he can get beat left and right. So that's something I want to look out for going forward.
Absolutely. I mean, one more thing before we go. You had any thoughts on Evan Neal getting back to work a little bit, doing some team drills just finally for the first time? Any thoughts on
Well,
Evan Neal?
I don't know if he'll be the starter. He didn't technically lose his job due to bad play per se, so they may insert him in the lineup, and that could be disastrous. So we'll find out what will happen. I don't think we've seen the last of Evan Neal. And the way that the season goes, when you play defenses that are physical, you lose guys. Just happens across the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Evan Neal again. So good that he's practicing. Let's see if he's learned something with this new coach. And I'm not sure if he will start or not, but we'll see. We'll see. That's why you got Illuminor in there. And I rather have them put Evan Neal back, put Illuminor back, have Runyon back, and just start with the original five guys that you started with at the beginning and let them fail together. And you say, okay, right, if Evan Neal's the problem, we'll replace him. If Luminor is the problem, we'll replace him. But let those five guys play together.
I support that. Like I said, offensive line play, you can't be doing all that shuffling around nonsense. You got to get five guys. They got to build that continuity. They got to be able to trust each other and be able to and know that the guy next to him has got their back, knows what they're doing. Everything's all the same page. It's got to be crispy, man. You can't be all the being all. You can't be offensive linemen ain't cute. You can't be too cute with offensive linemen. They the big uglies. Let them get out there and get it cracking and get five guys working together as one solid unit. What is going on halftime, my guy? Appreciate you stopping in, man.
Good to
It's
see
a
you,
long.
man.
I ain't seen you in a while. Halftime, man. It's good to definitely see you, my brother.
Hope all is well.
Uh, King Bomber, welcome to the channel too. I appreciate you stopping through, bro. No doubt,
Listen,
man.
man, talk
Appreciate
about
you
the
coming in,
birds. We
tuning
try to
in
give
with
us
us for a little bit.
we talk about the birds just like everybody else. So try to give them fair assessments.
Yeah, we ain't talking about them quite yet, though. We gonna talk. We gonna talk about these Washington Commanders. We're going to talk about the Washington Commanders for a little bit, man. Jaden Daniels making his NFL debut on Saturday afternoon, and it was solid. Once again, I mean, he played very limited minutes, obviously limited snaps, but it was solid. What we saw, it looked impressive. He looked like a guy that they drafted number 2 overall to be come in and be the game changer, be their franchise quarterback, the face of their franchise. He was like a guy that might could potentially be on his way, man. Jaden Daniels, what you think about the Washington Commanders? What you saw from them against the Jets, against a good defense in the New York Jets as well. Let me remind everybody that's not a sorry little bum ass defense he went out there and did that against as well. That was the New York Jets, who are definitely going to be one of the better defensive units in this league this season. So,
Well,
any thoughts on the Washington Commanders?
they have their player in Jaden Daniels. You saw what he can do, push the ball downfield. He's dynamic in running. And I know he got limited snaps, but he was effective in those snaps. The game didn't look too big for him. Now, again, he did practice with the Jets for a couple of days, so that might have given him a little bit of an advantage. But still, you go out there and you need to execute when your number is called. And he didn't look like the game, like he was swimming in water. Now, does that mean he's going to start? No, I think the offense. I think they should get a couple more offensive line pieces in here as their guys kind of got a little bit, run around. But again, you got to give credit to that Jet defense, which it looks like it's going to be a fierce one to be reckoned with this year. Obviously, they didn't have their quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. So it was good to see the Commanders play solid on both sides of the ball. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a player. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the starter come the time the Giants play him. Because who does he have to beat out? Marcus Mariota? I mean, come on. It's not like, there's much there. So it just depends on what they feel his growth is and what he can bring. To me, I look at it like this. You can play a rookie. You can just be, Daniel came in and threw for 300 yards his first game. People are like, oh, well, I don't want to play a rookie. It doesn't matter necessarily about playing the rookie. It's a matter about that guy being able to do something. Because I've seen a lot of rookies come in and flop. Eli didn't look good his first couple games, and you see a lot of rookies come out and look good. Like look at C.J. Stroud. So if he's looking dynamic out there, if he's looking like he can elevate the offense with not only his passing but his legs, he'll be out there on Sundays.
I mean, I think right now, I mean, just got to see how the rest of the preseason goes. But I just, like you said, if he's the better guy, you gotta get him out there week one and let it rip, man. Just let it rip. At this point, you can't hold anything back. If this kid, if he's the guy, then you draft the number
Let him
two
be.
overall. Use number two overall pick on him. Let it happen. Like you said, he spoke. He said Daniel Jones what he did in his first game ever, when his first career start. It was one of his best games of his career. So I mean, you just gotta
Right.
let it rip, man.
And then the rest was like downhill
But
from there.
halftime,
Right.
I was gonna say halftime. We just spent a whole lot of time on the New York Giants before you came in, apparently. But just real quick to sum it up, just for you real quick, Giants are kind of just more or less. It's a wait and see, man, on the field, man. We've heard all the hype before, heard it all before, man. For me, it's a wait and see on the field. I got to see what they do when they're on the field. It's no more about what they're doing in practice. No more about this, that, and the other. They got to get it done on the field on Sunday against other opponents. You know what I mean? I don't care what they're doing to each other in practice. And none of that matters anymore. I'm tired of that kind of hype, because that kind of hype had me all screwed up for the last couple of years, man. It's just I'm not buying in on that no more. Not so. It's a wait and see for me, bro. We'll see how they do. I mean, they've made some positive moves. It looks like, but looks like potentially he may be heading in a good direction. But the quarterback is still a huge question mark for myself. I know my co-host. He's not even a question mark for my co-host. he's more he's beyond that stage. But
He's not a good. What is
we'll
he?
see.
What is after a question mark? A period, I guess. I mean, he,
Oh man, but yeah. So yeah, the Washington, like they said, this Washington team. I mean, you didn't really get to see a lot of their first unit offense out there on the field, but like I said, this one, everything I've seen and heard from their camp, everybody, they just love the energy that Jaden Daniels brings, and it's what we're talking about, man. This is why I'm like a jealous Giants fan right now, because we don't get this same feeling like the Washington Commanders, like Chicago Bears is getting right now. We don't get that same feeling. We don't get that like a new day is coming. We right now, for most of us, feel like it's just the same old shit coming, because that I mean that one position is it's still Daniel Jones right now, man. It's still just him, man. And like I said, if he can make me eat my words, I hope he does. I hope that's what I want him to do. Make me eat my words, but he's got a lot of work to do, a lot of work to do for that to even happen, man. So like I said, all we can do is wait and see, man. I mean, I get it as an Eagles fan. Giants ain't gonna be good, but we can still. All I can you can remember what we did to you the last time you played us. Remember that. Just remember that. I gotta throw that out there. Remember what we did to y'all the last time we played y'all. Tapped out at halftime, bro. That's all I gotta say about that. Had y'all tapping out at halftime. Pulled the starters. Y'all quit because y'all knew y'all couldn't handle us that day. So I'm
oh
just
well,
saying.
here
That's
it
all I got,
starts.
though.
It's starting. It's starting. I'm gonna stay at my. I'm gonna stay quiet at my side of the table right now, and yeah.
But it's football season, man. I love it. That's why we all here, man. I love it, man. It's football season, man. Tough schedule after the
Oh
first
man.
three games. Shit, it's the third game is Cleveland, but game three is Cleveland and Minnesota and Washington. They ain't nothing. They might not be nothing to sneeze at. Shit, we the New York Giants. But all right, we even got all off track now. But like I said, anything else you saw from this Washington team in that matchup
I
that
think
you
they're gonna
want
have a
to hit
solid.
on?
I think they're gonna be a solid defense. Not like top 10 like the Giants, but they'll be able to keep their teams in games and get some turnovers when needed. Opportunistic. I mean, they're very disciplined. You can see that. I know the Jets weren't running out superstars out there, and Emmanuel Forbes is getting cooked left and right. But you can fix that. If your secondary is bad, which I think you're going to see that with both New York and Washington, is their secondary is going to be a little suspect, and that's where we're going to lose some of the games down the stretch. I feel is just our secondary and our depth, and we'll see. I mean, I think Commanders are headed in the right direction, and their expectations should be at the end of the year. We want to look improved. We want to be competitive. We want to be all the things that we say every year as Giant fans, right? That's what they're headed for. So if they can at least do that and at least be competent, win 4, 5, 6 games, and look like they, can hang with some of these teams, they'll be on their way.
We'll see, man. We will see, man. I mean, on paper, it all looks good, man. Matter of fact, when we give the people what they want, man. Let's talk about the Eagles a little bit. Let's talk about them a little bit, man. I mean, they ain't really show too much on Friday night. They obviously didn't roll out none of the starters in that game. Didn't play. Didn't do really. So we didn't get to see that. We didn't get to see Saquon Barkley yet in the Eagle uniform. But we all are both in agreement. This is Philadelphia Eagle team. It looks like it's going to be a lot to handle. They're going to be a lot to handle. They're going to be. I mean, on paper, this team is constructed about as good as a team can be constructed. I mean, especially on the offensive side of the football, just weapons all over the damn place. I'm not excited because I don't really want to ever be excited to see the Eagles, but I am kind of curious to see what it all looks like. See like that kind of talent. I mean, because that's just a lot of talent on one side of the football for one football team to have. I mean, that's almost like an all-star team on the offense in a sense. They got top players at every positional group on the offensive side of the football. Literally, that's not even an exaggeration. They got a top quarterback. They got top receivers. They got a top tight end. They got a top running back. I mean, they got one of the best offensive lines in football. I mean, this is going to be a team that should do some serious damage. But like I said, we didn't get to see much on Friday night, obviously with this football team. But still a lot of things, a lot of just chatter in the camp coming out. A lot of chatter with Nick Sirianni. It's Nick Sirianni, and I don't know what's supposed to be allegedly going on with him and Jalen Hurts, but it's a lot of craziness, a lot of so that's the only thing I think that can hold this team back is anything internal, self destruction. Honestly, at this point, I don't know if you got anything you want to
Well,
talk
I mean,
about with the Eagles.
I know that no Mets mentioned the Dream Team. I think this is a little different than the Dream Team. The Dream Team, had Vince Young and a few other people on there, and I think also Michael Vick was there too. And they underachieved, but they had high aspirations. This team doesn't have. They have those same aspirations, but they're not talking in the same way as that team was. They're just going about their business, trying to be as covert as possible. Trying to navigate their coach's stupidity sometimes, right? And that's what they're trying to do. They do have a solid team around them. They're apparently they're getting Cooper DeJean back, which is good. They're Keon Mitchell's having a pretty decent camp. Saquon Barkley, they're utilizing him. Let's see if they do that in the regular season, because if they do, he's going to he's going to blow it up for that team. He could be the elixir that they need to get over the hump, because
What's up, Lou?
um, they could be the elixir that gets over the hump, because last year their offense was very predictable. This year they'll be a little bit more motion, a little bit more man, a little bit more diversity with Barkley out of the backfield, I think. And they're utilizing him in practice right now, out of the backfield. So when you talk about it, Mac, positionally on offense, they're pretty good, but on defense, they're also pretty good. And you know, you got Jalen Carter is blowing people up in practice. You have Devin White who's running all over the field making plays. Like I said, Keon Mitchell. Now they do have guys like James Bradbury. He's looks like he's might not be taken to safety, but we'll see how that plays out. But I think and I think Bryce Huff, that guy coming along as well. I know Vic Fangio's. I don't know what his strategy is. One minute he'll praise guys, another minute he'll throw a guy under a bus. So I don't know if internally he's saying to the players, "Look, it's just I'm going to treat you the same way." But let's hope that doesn't fracture a team, right? Calling people out. So we'll see what happens. I think the Eagles have a good chance as anybody, and I think people are sleeping on them. For some reason, I feel like the Eagles did this big offseason. They got good draft picks, they got solid free agent signings, and yet, you know, they still are not being picked to win. I don't even know if they're picked to win their game against Green Bay.
I look into that. I look into that, Lou. But look, the Eagles, the defensively, their defensive side of football, their rookie, their first round draft pick, the cornerback they got, man. That dude, he's like a player, man. He also was like a player as well, man.
Rich get
So
richer, as they say.
they just keep finding ways to keep adding the talent, loading up on the talent, man. Like I said, I think the only thing that can really stop them is going to be their own like self destruction. So just keep an eye
Yeah.
on that. But clearly, the talent on the field speaks for itself, and it's really don't have much more to say about it. I mean, all know, like I said, this team just is a good football team, at least on paper. It's been constructed as a really good football team, and I think the only thing stopping them is going to be themselves. I mean, Super Bowl, I don't know about all that, but they
Eh.
definitely are one of the top teams that will be in the conversation, many Super Bowl conversations. I would assume,
Well,
but we'll see
I'm
about all
telling you,
that.
the team that we're about to talk about is also, like I don't know how I feel about it because like the Eagles are good, and I know they're going to be good, and I'm not. They're just there's something about it where like I would be very surprised if not they don't have 11 wins. Just put it that way. If they don't have 11 wins, I'd be very surprised. Super Bowl, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, you say something about dissension amongst the ranks. Maybe Barkley being inserted in this dynamic may help. He is a heady player. He's a guy that can be a liaison between the coach and the quarterback, depending on what happens. He was that here for us with the Giants. He was kind of the moderator, took a lot of the flack when the team was doing bad. So he might be a guy that can share his leadership skills and be a part of, and help that way. So who knows, man? Interesting. It's very interesting season.
Like I said, I hope you're right, bro. I hope you're right, but got a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do, man. So we'll see. But I would love to eat my words. I would love to. I mean, I don't normally like being wrong, but I would like to be wrong about this football team this season. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm just not. I just don't have that confidence in who's supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be the leader of this football team. I'm having a lack of confidence in that young man. So we will see, man. And you wasn't here for the top of the show, Lou, but like I said, what I saw them rookie quarterbacks do this weekend is really got me even looking at Daniel Jones through an even bigger microscope right now because them rookie quarterbacks went out there and performed this weekend. So he's gonna have to really show me something this year. But let's get to the Cowboys before we end things today, man. And the Cowboys came out Sunday afternoon, played against the Rams, yada yada yada. Obviously, the biggest storyline for the Cowboys right now, honestly, not even anything they've done on the field thus far up to this point, because they didn't really show much in that game on Sunday either. Like the Eagles didn't really play anybody, but they it's the CeeDee Lamb thing, and it's kind of starting to get to a point of to me being kind of crazy. I don't usually often agree with Stephen A. Smith, man, but he had a rant. I don't know. I guess it was earlier today. I guess on whatever shows he's on, First Take, whatever he's still doing. I don't know what he does anymore. But like you said, it's to me, it's a no brainer. Like, what are you waiting for to pay a guy that's been absolutely one of the top two or three receivers in the NFL over the course of the last couple of seasons? Like, what's the holdup? What more?
because they
What
don't
does he
have
have
to
to do
pay
to
him.
prove to you that he deserves his bag though? Well, what do you? But at the same
They
time
don't have
though,
to pay
like, what
him.
are you? You got other you have other things to deal with. You're gonna have other things to deal with coming down the line. So you're gonna wait until he's even more expensive because that's all that's gonna
But
happen. He's gonna get more expensive the longer you wait.
I
And
understand
to
what
me,
you're saying.
it's like, well,
I understand what you're saying, but didn't he got drafted in 2020, right? So he still has a couple years left on his contract. That's the only reason why I could think um, that they could hold out is because he's in year 4 and he has the extension of year 5, so they don't necessarily have to get the urgency done now, right? I mean, I think I've heard there's some deals on the table, but you know, I don't know, man. I just think I think it's much ado about nothing. To be honest with you, I think
I
he's going
think
to be
you're
signed at
playing.
the end of the day.
I think you're playing. I think you're playing with fire. I think the worst case scenario. Okay, so he doesn't want to hold out into the season. He comes in. He's still CD Lamb. He still lighting it up like he's always like he does. And then what? Now the price tag is just going to keep going up. It's just going to keep going up and up and up. I mean, as far as I mean, look, I'm not a businessman. I'm not a NFL owner by no means. I'm not a billionaire, but I'm also not that crazy. And I just know that I think it would be better. I mean, I would assume CD Lamb is in their future plans, right? I mean, I would assume that young man is in their future plans. I just think, especially what you got Michael Parsons coming up, that you're gonna have to dealing with him soon as well. I think you just got to get these players signed, man, and you got to get a guy like him. You got to take care of the guys like that. This is a guy he's been your best player on the offensive side of the football for the last couple of years. I guess if you want to say Dak because he's the quarterback, but at the end of the day, CD Lamb has been what's made this offense go. And I just don't understand. Like you're making it almost seem like what he's asked. Like he's just asking for pretty much what's a fair rate for guys of his skill set and what guys are doing. The other guys amongst him in his peer group, he's watching them all sign these contracts and get these deals. And what's up with that? I just think that you're creating a problem that doesn't have to be there. To me, I feel like it's creating a problem. You're
Well,
going to get to a point where the player becomes disgruntled, truly becomes truly disgruntled and unhappy. And for me personally, as a Giants fan, you know, I don't give a damn. I would love for that kind of disruption to go on in Cowboy land. But I'm just speaking as a content creator, as giving my unbiased opinion about the situation. I just think Jerry Jones is playing with fire here. I think CeeDee Lamb is an absolutely dynamic wide receiver. He's a phenomenal player, and I don't understand how you can sit there. I mean, with this holdout, and you're not. And I'm not. You're not. It's not. You're not making a real effort to really. I mean, as far as from well, at least what we can see, from what I can see, I don't even see a real effort being made to like try to come to some kind of resolution here. And I just think that you
well,
need to take care. I think something like this you need to take care of.
to be honest with you, you're talking to a team that is not worried about budging. Okay, look at the Cowboys. They had a player hold out into the season. His name was Emmitt Smith, and then they paid him his money after they got it dismantled, and then they went on to win the Super Bowl. Right. So this is a team that has a history of dealing with players with big personalities, getting contracts done, and things of that nature. So to me, it's just typical Cowboys. What the Cowboys do every year with their players, dangle a carrot in front of them in the media for this. Who the Cowboys are never going to be the same, and then boom, they hit the season and they hit the go button. So I think they'll take care of all their players. I'm not really worried at all if I'm a Cowboy fan because I'm hearing things that a deal is in place for CD Lamb at some point. I don't know when he's going to sign it or what the holdup is right now, but we'll see what it is. And you're right, he will be more expensive. As for Michael Parsons, again, he's under a rookie deal as well. He can he's going to get paid. No Mets said something about he disappears in games. I don't know if he disappears in games or if they take him off the field and he loses his rhythm in games. Because if you watch what he did, right, I think Mike Zimmer is going to play Micah Parsons a little bit better and make him more of a 3-down player and not take him off the field in those situations. Well, while Dan Quinn somehow always tried to, outsmart the people by putting him on the sideline. And there'd be series upon series where he would sit on the sideline waiting to go back into the game. And you can't use him as like a pinch hitter. You just got to keep him in the game. He's what we call a slugger, right? And sometimes sluggers are not always going to hit, but when they do hit, it's impactful. So I think instead of taking at bats away from him, you got to just keep giving him more, right? And I think that's what Mike Zimmer is going to deploy him as. He's going to deploy him all over the field and move him around. Mike Zimmer has a history with this team, and in his lineage and what he's done defensively, I think is going to be a little different than what Dan Quinn does. As for the whole CeeDee Lamb thing, like I said, the offense is moving their football. Dak Prescott's in midseason form. They are already moving up and down the field with the football. That's also another reason why I think they have leverage, because they know that the offense can still go and still move. Is it as impactful without CeeDee Lamb? No, absolutely not. And by the way, who said that CeeDee Lamb was the number one receiver? I'm just bringing that up. I'm just saying he's going to get paid that money, but they're moving the football. And when you see those practice reports with Dak Prescott and he's moving the team, that doesn't help CeeDee Lamb in negotiations, because if they came out and looked completely abysmal or something like that, or rudderless, like the Giants are trying to build with their offense, right? When you lose Malik Neighbors, you have to find other people. Well, they have other people. They have Brandon Cooks. They have the tight end. They have other guys that they'll be able to go to that can, offset that. And I think Dak Prescott can make guys better. Now, again, do you want CeeDee Lamb here? Yes. Do I think he's going to be there come September? Absolutely. Do I think they'll get a deal done at some point? I do believe, though. I do believe the Cowboys know this is their window. That's the reason why they didn't go out and get free agents this year. We talked about that a lot. A lot of people were saying, well, they didn't do much of free agency. They didn't do much of free agency because they draft well. And when you draft well, you don't have to worry about free agency, because you have guys that can come in and play behind other people, and you have good personnel people making your decisions for you, so that you don't necessarily need to shop hungry like some teams do in the NFL draft, where they shop for need as opposed to BPA, right? The Cowboys draft BPA, they take a lineman, and guess what? That lineman is now a starter for the next 5 years on their team, because they know what they're doing. They're not afraid to draft at a position of need. That's what they do. So for me, I'm looking at the Cowboys. They got DeRon Bland back. They got Diggs back. If they get those guys healthy, they still have DeMarcus Lawrence. They have Micah Parsons. I think this defense is still going to be one of those feisty defenses. And then offensively, the one thing I will say, and I think they might be on the waiver wire for, is a running back. Now, I'm not saying Zeke Elliott is not the guy or not going to do well, but I think unless Deuce Vaughn comes out of nowhere, and they're hoping that guy does something, they might want to check the waiver wire or get a guy like LeBron Murray in here to kind of get a plugger back, because I think that's what will help them down the stretch. If they can get third and shorts, a guy out of the backfield. Last year, Tony Pollard wasn't that bruiser that they needed and got banged up early on, and he wasn't the same, and they didn't have that same punishing running because they weren't running downhill. I think they have a couple guys that can run downhill, and they're going to go with those backs first, and then maybe they'll make a trade depending on where they are in the playoff hunt. If they need somebody to help out, they'll make a trade at that point. There is also Dalvin Cook still out there. Maybe they'll explore that option for him. So I just think that's what might be missing from the Cowboys. Other than that, I think they're going to be, again, in that 10 to 12 win range. Because the teams below them, as much as we want to believe the Giants could do 11-6 or, whatever, 10 wins, I just believe there's a ton of teams in front of them that are at their level or slightly better, and the Giants are in a different state in their rebuild, and that's not because of anything other than what the Giants themselves have done. They've got to play like they're in year 3, but they're trying to be in year 1, right? They're trying to reset the rebuild and all this stuff, yet they're still trying to win. So the Giants have been doing that for the last 10 years. So we'll see. And that's why I think the Cowboys and Eagles are going to fight for the NFC East, because that's what they're doing, right? And, Barkley, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys, if they don't have a good running game, that's will be their shortcoming. Because if you look at the teams around the league that have gotten these running backs that we talk about, like the Barkleys of the world, look at Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, I believed, was going to be a perfect back for the Dallas Cowboys. Imagine you have Dak Prescott back there and you smash with Derrick Henry. I mean, with that offensive line coming downhill, would have been a match made in heaven. Instead, he goes to another smash mouth team in Baltimore and a guy who is now a dual threat at quarterback as well. So we'll see what the Cowboys can do. Again, they're having their camp. They're like in midseason form. I know they lost Sam Williams, but they will find a way to get another pass rusher in here. They're trying to work on Mozzie Smith. That's one of the things they're looking at right now. I don't know if they're going to bring in. I heard they were going to try to bring in a Linval Joseph or Jonathan Hankins type guy like that. So I don't know when those deals might come down when the 53 roster is set in the next couple of weeks. So just look out for that.
Speaking of dual threat quarterbacks, the Cowboys went with Trey Lance most of the way on Sunday. 25 for 41, 188 yards. He ran the ball 6 times, 44 yards. Trey Lance, man, it's been a bit of a struggle in Cowboy training camp for Trey Lance. It's been a struggle his entire career. Period. His professional career, dating back in San Fran, we all know how things went down there. Former number 3 overall pick and Trey Lance. Do you think this preseason is very important for any potential longevity in his NFL career? Stepped away.
Oh
Well,
yes, I do agree. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I think this is a step in the right direction. Now, again, this is what Trey Lance needed and the Cowboys needed to see. Because remember, we talk about Dak Prescott. If Trey Lance can be revitalized by Mike McCarthy here, because remember, he hasn't played that much football. He wasn't, I wouldn't say he was lightning in a bottle in San Francisco. He was a little up and down in San Fran. And then he broke his leg and, never was seen again. Then got traded to the Cowboys last year, really didn't play, had kind of a rocky offseason start. But I think right now, the more reps he gets, and if I'm the Cowboys, I wouldn't give Prescott that much. You know what that guy can do. That guy don't need to. You don't need to see that field at all. Look at how he's in practice. He's so dynamic and decisive, and throwing the ball all over the yacht. If you want to give more snaps to Trey Lance, because this is the only time you may see Trey Lance unless they're blowing teams out, right? So you want to get him as much burn as you can, because next year, if you decide for whatever reason to show Dak the door and give the keys to this kid, you want to have a little faith that he has some experience under his belt. And the only guy that can really give him that is Mike McCarthy. He's helped quarterbacks out. He made Andy Dalton look competent when Andy Dalton came to the Cowboys, and they were kept afloat with him. They weren't as dynamic, obviously, but Andy Dalton did have some games. There's a lot going on with that Cowboy team, not just with Dak Prescott. So I think, what Jerry Jones needs to see, he needs to see Trey Lance do what he did. Because if he continues to do that in the preseason and look good, and the offense, well, guess what? He's going to go over and he'll be like, listen, Mike, I know you're back, and you went to the playoffs and all, but we're going to have to get rid of Dak Prescott. We can't afford it. So we're going to go with Trey Lance, and you better hope to God that he's good. Otherwise, it's your ass being shown the door, right? So that's probably what he will do if he wants to. So at least he'll be a backup for now. I don't know if he'll win games for him. We'll see. Maybe the Cowboys have it locked up, and he plays a game or two at the end of the year, and he shows out, and who knows? But at least he saved his career for now.
Scrub Zero. So that was a good Jerry impression.
This must be your first time. Just kidding. I do Jerry a lot. Last year I did Jerry. He came on. He'll make an appearance every once in a while, because Jerry Jones does. He loves everything Jerry Jones. I'm a Dallas Cowboy. We'll get everything done. Don't you worry about it. I'm sure we're going to have Michael Parsons here. I'm sure we're going to have CeeDee Lamb. And you better believe that if they don't win the Super Bowl, I am firing some asses up in here. Okay? I don't care what Stephen Jones says. I'm going to put my foot down.
Well, all right. We I don't know. That's about it for the Cowboys this week, man. Like I said, as things keep ramping up, things will have a lot more information, a lot more
Who
news
are they
coming
playing this
your
week?
way. Cowboys play.
They play the Raiders. The Raiders on Saturday. They play the Raiders on Saturday.
But yeah, here we go. Here we are finally. We're going to wrap things up in a bit, man. But here, the last few weeks we've been ending the show. Like I said, I like to go back into my channel, my positive New York Giant vibes, man. So got to go back in history to do that. And 10 more names have been released on the countdown, Adam. 10 more. So it looks like they're definitely
Oh
ramping up to
yeah,
be done right at the start of the season because this countdown is now down went from 40 to 31 this week, and a couple of
yeah,
couple of impressive names on the list once again this week in this week's group. At number 31, you got Chris Snee,
yes.
talented offensive guard for the New York Giants throughout the 2000s on the 2007 and the 2011 player Super Bowl
Two-time Super
team,
Bowl
man.
champion.
Definitely anchor of that offensive line. Tom Coughlin's son-in-law now is an
Part of the
employee for the
family.
New York Giants as well, working in
Scout.
the scouting department. And so Chris Snee, man, definitely was a great New York Giant, sitting at number 31. And at number 32, his teammate on the other side of the football. Which one I'm talking about? You know which one I'm talking about? Take a guess. Take a
Strahan.
stab at it. Nah,
Strahan.
31, 32. Strahan at 32. Come on. No, you know it's
I
not
don't know.
Strahan at 32.
You said it was on defense.
OC Human Yor. Yeah, OC at number 32, man.
I love OC.
And we all know OC. We know what OC brought to the table, man. OC Human Yor was definitely that dude, man. When he was out there
Best
balling
strip
too. I
sacker
mean,
in the league.
I mean, he was just an athlete, man. I mean, he was a great athlete, just fast off the football, man. Really a quick first step. OC Umenyiora was definitely. I mean, I wouldn't say he was underrated, but at the same time,
He's very
I
good.
still
Very
don't
good
think he
player.
necessarily got quite the praise he always
He's like
deserved. I mean, it's tough
borderline
because he
Hall
played
of
a lot,
Famer.
played a lot. Yeah, he played a lot with Strahan, and that was kind of it's kind of tough, in that shadow, man. But
Well, well,
oh,
technically he was going to be the man, and then in 2008 he blew out his knee because remember in 2007 I think he had 14 sacks, and they paid him the huge deal, as well as they paid what you call it, they paid Tuck that year too. So you know I like Umanura. He was a great pass rusher, and if his knee didn't go that year, he could have put another couple sacks on the books, and he might have been flirting with 100 right now. I mean, he left with like 82 or something like that, which is still a lot of sacks, in the league. But in order to get into the hallowed halls of the Hall of Fame these days, I think you have to hit that 100 mark. But he is a two-time Super Bowl champion, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does make it because he was that good. Like he was borderline, I would say, good because when Strahan left, he still produced. He still produced at a high level. So
he absolutely did. He absolutely did. OC was definitely that guy, man, for sure.
I love OC.
Coming in at 34 on this list, man. Guy named a linebacker for the New York Giants back in the early 2000s, the late 90s, early 2000s. He was drafted in like the ninth round of a
Is it
round that
my
doesn't even
guy?
exist anymore.
Is it my
Eighth
guy?
round, or eighth or
Is it
ninth
my
round.
guy? Is he wore 98? Tell me he
I
wore
don't know who's
98.
it.
Tell me he wore 98.
Oh, he wore 98. Oh, he
Oh,
he
he wore
absolutely wore
98.
98.
Oh, that's my guy.
He absolutely
That's
wore
my
98.
guy.
So I'm talking
Jesse
about the
Armstead.
one and only Jesse Armstead, folks.
Oh,
Jesse Armstead coming in number 34, top 100 New York Giants of all time. Jesse Armstead. I know you're talking about borderline Hall of Famers. Now this
yes, he
guy,
too.
I think he should be getting some more serious consideration.
He was that good.
He was another great
He was that good.
linebacker in New York Giant history. Jesse Armstead was to be an animal out there.
He was that
Yet
good.
all the stories you hear about him, he was like the most like kind of soft spoken, low key guy out there.
Oh,
But when he got on the field, he was just an absolute animal, man. Yeah, Jesse
yes,
Armstead was definitely that
my
guy.
guy. Yes, he made it.
for,
So happy.
for sure. And then a couple other big. I mean, it's a lot of big names. I mean, I skipped over Frank Tarkenton. He came in at number 33. But I
Oh,
mean, I
good
know a
old
lot of us
Frank.
don't know a whole lot about Frank Tarkett. We know
Frankie
him, but
T.
we
Do
weren't
some
around for
research,
his playing
people.
days. You know what I mean? But you can definitely look it up, and you know he was
Google
definitely,
is
even
your
though
friend.
he had his bigger years in Minnesota throughout his career, but he did some great things for the New York Giants as well, playing on some bad New York Giant teams in the '70s when the Giants were
They were terrible.
absolutely abysmal.
Trash cans.
But who else are here? Another big name coming in on number 37 on this list. He was a wide receiver for the New York Football Giants. We
He
all
was a
know
wide
him. He's still
receiver.
current. He's
Is
still
it the
currently plays
well-dressed
football in the
Oman
NFL
receiver?
right now.
Oh, he plays football in
It
the
is
NFL. Then
not. He's
that's
still
Odell
this guy.
Beckham.
This guy is still currently in the league, and I am talking about Odell Beckham Jr. 37 only because his tenure. I mean, obviously, he was only here for the time
Man,
that
did
he
he
was
set the
here.
world on
So,
fire, though?
but absolutely, I mean, breaking the internet. The famous catch
Oh
Sunday
my
Night
God.
Football. I
Oh
still
my
remember
God.
the
Oh my
Chris
God.
Collinsworth on the call. Man, he was like, he did what? Chris Collinsworth, I thought he was getting ready to fall out of his seat that
You
night,
gotta
man.
be kidding me.
That when he made that catch.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen. I remember
So I mean,
I was
obviously,
in a bar when that happened, and we were drinking, and I normally don't go out for games, but we were going to see the Rockettes, so we made it into the city early enough where we could watch the game, and he made that catch in the corner of the end zone, and I'm just like, what in the hell just happened? What happened? And everyone's like, oh, I didn't catch it. I'm like, I've never seen a catch like that. You got to understand, he did something that is almost physically impossible. He was basically lying on his back, what is it, vertical to the ground, and he sticks his hand all the way back and catches the tip of the football with three fingers, and somehow falls to
while
the
being
ground.
while being interfered with. There was a
Yes,
flag on that play.
yes,
Don't forget, he was also
yes,
interfered with.
yes, exactly. So and I have a picture of that in my man cave. It was one of the greatest moments I've ever seen, one of the best catches I've ever seen in my life. Odell Beckham Jr. was him. He was that guy, and there's going to be a lot of people this year that are going to try to compare another LSU receiver to him, who's already kind of got some of that flair. And if you're an old curmudgeon Giant fan, don't watch the next 17 weeks. That's all I have to say.
There it is, right there on the brim of this hat. The catch, right there on the brim of this hat, baby. Yeah. uh, but I mean, that's obviously the most famous of the catches, man. But OBJ had a lot of made a lot of big plays, a lot of great plays, man. He can never really stay too healthy, and obviously his career is kind of over the last few years now has kind of spiraled a little
Fizzled
bit.
out.
He's kind of he was definitely with the New York Giants. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Yes, he was.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure we
Not
can say
anymore.
that now. But with the New York Giants, his years were here with the New York Giants. He was on a Hall of Fame trajectory for sure, man. He was on his way to being one of the absolute greatest to play this game at that position. And things, it's just life. Things work out the way the world works out, and it is what it is. I mean, I still wish the guy the best of luck, whatever he's doing down in Miami. See how things work out for him down there. But
I see what you did there, no Mets.
OBJ definitely, OBJ was definitely. I mean, he was. I mean, you got to still give it. No matter how you feel about him, you got to give him his due for what he did while he was here as a part of this New York Giant team, man. I mean, he made some dynamic plays, man. I mean, he was definitely highlight reel. And
He
then
was the
also
reason
at
why he
this
went to
on
the
this list
game.
this week, on this list at 38, man, I'm got Joe Morris, man, coming in at 38 on this list. Joe Morris, at the time he retired, was the all-time leading rusher for the New York Giants. In the '80s, he was just a dynamic running back for the New York
Joe
Giants,
Morris.
and he was just always a fun guy to watch, man. And
You said
he's
Joe
always been a
Morris?
class act. Joe Morris, man, the one and only number 20, man.
Did David Meggett
But
made the list?
Dave Meggett was on. Yeah, he made a list. He was on one of the earlier
Joe Morris. I wish I was
episodes.
a fan of the Giants earlier because I didn't get to see Joe Morris. I see the highlights. I know the stories because I'm a historian of the game as well. I like to watch old games and look up things, look up facts. Um, but uh, you know, I wish I could say I think he deserves to be on the list. What he did that year in '86. I don't think another running back has come close to it in Giant Land. Maybe, yeah, not even Barkley. I think he ran for 1,500 yards that season, which is, you know, maybe only Tiki Barber can catch him. I don't know.
Well, he ran for 15. Tiki Barber had an 1,800 yard season, didn't he? I
Yeah,
thought he
you're right.
did.
You're right. You're right.
Um, but yeah, Joe Morris definitely was a legend, New York Giant legend, man. The '80s, like I said, as I was a kid growing up, he was definitely one of my favorite guys, man. Out there watching the New York Giants and helping the Giants win Super Bowl in 1986, man. On that, on which was one of the best New York Giant teams of all time. So being a
Yeah.
part of that in itself. I mean, Joe Morris was a dynamic player. He was one of those guys too. He was a small. He wasn't a big guy. He was a pretty on the smaller side. He was that guy. I listened. He was actually on when they were revealing the 10 names on the list this week. He was one of the guys in this. They had one of the guests in the studio, and he was telling the stories about like people telling him how he was too small and this and that, and he would never make it. He would never be able to play football in the NFL and all this, that, and the other. And he just, you know, went on to just do the things that he did, man, and shut all the haters up, man, all the doubters, man. Joe Morris was definitely that guy, man.
That
But
reminds me of an Emmett Smith
I don't
commercial
know if you had
where
any.
he had a PSA, Emmett Smith, and he's like, they told me I was too small to play football. And you're like, man. And he's like, never let go of your dreams. And he walks off the screen. I'm like, that Joe Morris thing kind of reminded me of it because like that fuel that you say, you're too small to play football. That's the fuel that kind of drives these guys. So, good to see that he made the team.
Dave Meggett was number 80. He was
He was good too.
85.
Parcells guys.
Yeah, well, he's not too
Where's
good now.
Bavaro? Has he been revealed yet?
Bavaro has not, but I got a feeling we possibly could see Bavaro as early
This
as the
week,
next week's group, maybe, or
number
maybe the
30.
following week. I think he's definitely somewhere.
Damn, top 30.
We're
We're getting
definitely
to top
somewhere
30.
around that range where we might start getting ready to see him. But this is
I'm
now we're
going to try
getting
to
down
guess
to the
the
nitty
top
gritty,
10.
man. Like I said, number one is no secret. We know who number one is going to be. I mean, I would
You
think
don't
number
know.
one is a slam dunk, but
You better educate yourself.
I would think it's a slam dunk. I think it would be a slam dunk who number one is going to be,
It's
but
only two letters. It's only two
you
letters.
never
So
know. They
that's the
might,
only hint I'll give you.
they, they might surprise us. Who
No,
knows?
no,
I mean,
no, no, no. Mac, if they do that, Mac, I'm going to drive to 1925 Drive and punch Mara in the face and be like, what are you doing? As much as I love the guy who could possibly be number two, you know who number one is, and it's not even. It's more than a slam dunk. It's a breaking of the rim. Okay, that's what it is. It's a Shaquille O'Neal Shaq attacks the rim. That's how far and away he
I
is
agree.
at the top.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's not. I mean, when a few years, years back, when they released the list, the all-time greatest 100 players in NFL history, Lawrence Taylor
Yes,
was the number one defensive player on that list, coming
and
in
if
at
he's
number
not,
three overall.
and if he's not number one now, you got John. I love Eli. I get it, and I know that No Mets knows that that's where I was going. But there's no way the impact that this guy had on the game, not just the team, on the game. We don't get Derek Thomas. We don't get Terrell Suggs. We don't get Micah Parsons. We don't get any of these players without a guy named Lawrence Taylor revolutionizing the position. When they had that guy in that position, you weren't supposed to do that. You weren't supposed to be that fast. He revolutionized, transcended the sport, made guys like the Saints guys, Ricky Jackson and those guys back then, made those guys relevant. You don't have a defense in the NFL without putting Lawrence Taylor one. You can argue Reggie White, whatever, fine. I don't care. But at least he's at least on the top two of everyone's Mount Rushmore. And for the New York Giants, I don't care what anybody says. That guy, because he transcended the game and because he transcended defense dude, the guy would make his own defense up on the fly because he didn't know what the hell he was doing because he slept through the meeting. So then he would go out and have a sack and sack the quarterback. And they'd be like, what are you doing, Lawrence? He's like, well, maybe we should put that in on Monday, coach. And that's the type of guy we're talking about here. The guy was a genius on the field, a menace off the field, and an absolute destroyer of men on the field. Okay? Ask Ron Jaworski, son, you got to do better than this.
I mean, you're right. It's not even that's not up for debate. But there are some big time names. I mean, still not yet to be revealed. You just mentioned the Monty Toomer. Monty Toomer still hasn't. His name hasn't been called on this list, so you got to believe he's going to be on here. So
Toomer, Manning,
Harry
Taylor.
Carson.
Carson's probably going to be on that list.
Carl Banks. Hasn't been his name.
Bavaro.
It's just so many greats, man. So many greats.
Oh man, I don't know whether obviously Strahan's going to be on there. I wonder if David Deal's going to make the list.
David Deal. David Deal already made the list, I think.
So what about did Kareem McKenzie make it?
He absolutely did. I think. I believe he did too. Rich Saab. I feel like that whole offensive line did.
Jumbo Elliott made it.
Offensive line might have. Yeah. Oh, Jumbo Elliott made it. Yeah, he was a couple weeks ago. Oh, he was last week, as a matter of fact. Jumbo Elliott was just last week. Week's group. Yeah, I think that whole 07 offensive line. I believe I think they are. I don't know. Maybe not.
Jason Sehorn, did he make it?
Yeah, he made it. Sehorn's on here too.
No Sam Garnes, man. Sure. Sean Williams.
Nah, no Sam Garnes, and he's not going to be, because if he was, he would have already been on by now.
I like Sam Garnes. I don't know. I'm excited to see the next 30 because probably going to be a lot of players that I don't know. So
it's going to be lit, man, because it's like I said, there's so many names like they haven't even called out yet so far. Like I said, that's just it's Tiki Barber still. His name hasn't been called yet. Tiki. Yeah. Like I said, these guys, it's a lot of big timers, man. A lot of big timers. I mean, who knows? Antrell Roll. I would think that he's got to have a spot on this list, man. It might only been a few years here, but I gotta.
Yeah, well, listen, if OBJ can make it, you won a Super Bowl. You did what you needed to do. Hired gun. Plaxico Burress made the list, right? So
that's what I'm saying. These guys it's not about how long you were here. It's about the impact you had while you were here. And
Justin Tuck's on that list. Justin Tuck's going to be on that list.
He's got to be. He's got to be.
Antonio Pierce is probably on that list. So there's a couple there's a couple bangers coming up that will really. I wonder if Phillips make it, man. Because him and Roll, if it's not for him knocking down the pass and doing all the defensive work, like basically cleaning up all the stuff.
Yeah.
Antrell Roll couldn't be Antrell Roll. He's gonna be on the list. I don't know if he's
Antonio Pierce is on the list.
He's already on it?
No, he's on the list. He's already on it. Yeah. Antonio.
What about Jason Blackburn?
This is on Giants.com up to 31 right now. They got from 31 to 100 on Giants.com. You can go and pull up and pull it. You can pull it up on Giants.com.
It's good stuff.
Right now, the list from 31 to 100, because that's how far they've revealed so far, down to 31. But
I would put
unless you have any more thoughts, man. Already?
Listen, if OBJ can make it in 4 seasons, Andrew Thomas can make it in 4 seasons. So, and Dexter Lawrence, put them both on that.
But we're kind of high right now. We're already at 31, bro. You gotta remember, we're already at 31.
Yes.
So I don't know. We'll see. Shout out to Dexter Lawrence, by the way, number 24 on the NFL top 100 players list this week too, by the way. So shout out Dexter Lawrence for that, man.
Good
Congratulations to him.
Finally getting the recognition you deserve.
Being recognized as one of the top players in the league today. But yeah, you got any more thoughts before we close it out for the week, man?
All I'm going to say is this: when it's all said and done, and Dexter Lawrence's career as a Giant is over, he'll be on that list. I'll put him on there. You're welcome, no Mets. But no, I have nothing else.
I mean, yeah, and I agree with that. I just don't think they're going to be on this particular list quite right now. But I do see I see where you're coming with that. I mean, these are two of the best players on the team currently right now, and they are legit. So that's why the New York Giants paid both of these young men already. But yeah. So thank you all for tuning in once again. Appreciate y'all, man. Everybody coming through, hanging out while we talk about NFC's talk, man. It's gonna just keep getting better and better, more fire, man. I can't almost getting closer, another step closer to the regular season. And right now, I'm assuming the show is gonna go on next week, but it's gonna go on without Mac the Giants fan, without myself, man. I'm gonna be on vacation. I'm gonna be out in the middle of the Caribbean Sea. I'm not gonna be able to come to y'all live next Wednesday, but my guy Adam is gonna hold it down and bring y'all that NFC's talk, man, because that's what he does, man. That's what he do. So make sure y'all definitely tune in next Wednesday with Adam, man. And if he brings a guest on, he may bring a guest on. That'll be up to his discretion. But I definitely appreciate y'all all tuning in, man. Make sure y'all sub up to myself at Mac the Giants fan, Adam Costas, and the Hardcore Sports Nation, man. Show us all some love, man. Keep grinding for y'all, man. Each and every Wednesday from here until there's no more NFC East teams standing. So let's see, man. Maybe we'll get into February this year with it, man, and bring one back.
We did it a few years ago.
NFC East, man.
I think our first year we started,
So
we got
see.
a team in the NFC.
So, yes. Hell yeah. So we'll see, man. We'll definitely see. But we're going to be here with y'all each and every Wednesday, man. Like I said, I am going to be missing next week because I'll be on vacation, but I'll be thinking about y'all, man. Hopefully, maybe if I can get somewhere with some Wi-Fi, I can at least... Maybe if I can get somewhere with some Wi-Fi, I can at least tune in for a little bit or something. You know what I mean? Maybe.
Get out of here.
Maybe.
You're going to be sipping Mai Tais on a cruise. Oh, let me see what NFC East Roundup is doing. Give me a break.
Look.
I love the loyalty.
Look, man,
I get it. But let's be real. Let's be honest. You're going to be up there getting your tan on, getting your shine on, eating your seafood, dumping those shrimp in the cocktail sauce. Let's be honest, man. You're not going to be worried from, NFC East Roundup. Just come back to us safe, man.
Appreciate it, no mess, man. Thank you. But yeah, most definitely. But I will be back with y'all in a couple of weeks, man. We'll be back to normal, resume it. But Adam's gonna definitely hold it down next week, man. And thanks again for tuning in, man. This has been another great edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.